So here's the thing. Here's why we're on a knife's edge. We moved up to this level. This level over here was the last, since we're in all-time highs now, we're in rarefied territory, that was the last level calling the price. We have no other levels calling the price up here. All right? So we could only really move on momentum, on a liquidity, on liquidations, and all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen. We moved down. And when we broke down, we broke below the yellow weekly volume weighted moving average. We fell below it, and then we came back up under it. Where did it bounce up to? It bounced up to the yellow weekly level. That's not coming down. It came up to the daily level from the previous Friday. So this is the daily level from the previous Friday. And it got into the developing moving average, the volume weighted moving average for that week. So there was all this downward pressure. This is all resistance that's above the price. So let's take a look at the trades from last week, or the movement of the Bitcoin price over the last week. We look at Bitcoin week by week, quarter by quarter here, folks, because Bitcoin is an asset that is highly correlated with global dollar liquidity, and liquidity moves in longer trends. And you don't need to necessarily get down to a granular 1 minute chart for Bitcoin, and you don't need to focus on a 1 year chart for Bitcoin. The week by week, month by month, quarter by quarter gives you a great idea of the seasonality of what's going on with Bitcoin. All right, so last week, which is denoted here by this red bar, these red bars are always the week, we moved up into that for the week. Now you remember what I said, what always happens on Bitcoin on Monday, almost always, is that the price of Bitcoin will move dramatically for that Monday. And then usually what you need to do is fade that for the rest of the week. So whatever move happened on Monday for Bitcoin, you have to assume that, so if it went up on Monday, you should have to assume that for the rest of the week, it'll go down, and vice versa. So that's what we saw over here. We saw the price move up on Monday, so I knew that we were going to be headed down. Okay? Which is pretty cool. I just love that pattern. Over here, last Monday, for the week prior, we moved down on the Monday, so then we moved up for the week afterwards. The week before that, we moved down, so then we moved up for the following week. The magnitude of it, we don't know. And sometimes it falls not just on Monday, it'll continue on Tuesday, sometimes even to Wednesday, but usually by Tuesday morning, And so that's what we had here. Now, what I was hoping for was for the price of Bitcoin to fall all the way down to 113.
Right.
This would have been what we call a perfect trade, a perfect setup. Because the likelihood that it would fall to 113 was a level that was a daily level that was missed in blue, and also a weekly level that was set up for last week. The last week's weekly trade, the target was 113. So that would have been a perfect entry because we would have had all the reason in the world to expect a significant bounce off that level. It didn't happen. Where did we go down to? We went down to, first on the Monday, we went straight down to the daily level. So that was expected to happen. We usually move from daily level to daily level. Move to the daily level. We continued lower. Where did we get to? To the weekly wave. This yellow line over here. Right? It's no coincidence. That's why these waves are so interesting. We bounce over here, that wave. We bounce over here again. And here we broke down below that wave. And now we bumped up against it. This weekly wave is what we've been respecting for the last little while now. Actually, we respect it quite often on the 2-hour chart. So once it came down, we got to bounce up. But where did we bounce up to? To the daily level over here that was missed. You see this blue line here?
Yeah.
That's a daily level. It's no coincidence. We went straight up of there and reversed. So when you're trading 50x leverage like I'm talking about, or however you want to trade with Bitcoin, you can't be surprised by these moves. When we get to the level, if we get to a level from underneath, expect a short. If we get to the level from above, expect a bounce. Does it happen 100% of the time? No. Is that what you should bet on because that's a high probability trade? Yes.
Not financial advice. Do your own research.
Fine, Peter. Not technical. Not advice. It's technical analysis, but it's how I see the chart. Now, here's the thing. Here's why we're on a knife's edge. So here's the thing. Here's why we're on a knife's edge. We moved up to this level. This level over here was the last, since we're in all-time highs now, we're in rarefied territory, that was the last level calling the price. We have no other levels calling the price up here. All right? So we could only really move on momentum, on liquidity, on liquidations, and all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen. We moved down. And when we broke down, we broke below the yellow weekly volume weighted moving average. We fell below it, and then we came back up under it. Something I only started talking about last week, Saturdays, or what we call Sideway Saturdays. Bitcoin price almost always is flat on Saturday. That means whatever price it opened at on the Saturday is the price we close at on that Saturday. Did you know this, Peter?
Oh, I know it from last week.
Yeah, so over here we had the price. We opened on this candle and we closed over here. So all the movements around are just oscillating around that level. If we take a look at previous week, not every week's exactly the same. If we take a look at the previous week, we see here we opened over here and we closed over here. Dead flat. Week before that, we opened over here and we closed. We closed up here a little bit, but then even the next day, the price came back down into that level. And you'll see that like again and again. It's not always exactly right, but it's pretty flat. Over here we open, here we close.
All right.
Right. So it doesn't happen all the time, especially if there's news or anything that happens on Saturday, it'll go all squirrely, but that's generally how it goes. So Saturday, I never pay attention to because I know that the price is going to be flat. What we take a look at then is Sunday. And what we saw Sunday is that the price was moving steadily up, and it bounced up to, where did it bounce up to? It bounced up to the yellow weekly level. That's not coming down. It came up to the daily level from the previous Friday. So this is the daily level from the previous Friday. And it got into the developing moving average, the volume weighted moving average for that week. So there was all this downward pressure. This is all resistance that's above the price. So it's no wonder that even though we moved up over here, because the price was being pulled up by this daily level, boom, we immediately gave it all back. So the question now is what's going to happen? So that's the trades for the week past.
That's the previous week. All right, cool. Head over to sacredprofit.com to get those indicators. Once again, they are free, offered at zero cost. All you have to do is sign up as an affiliate for BitGet or Blowfin. More exchanges to come.